In the quiet countryside of Vermont, where winters breathed softly across wooden barns and summers smelled of warm hay, there lived a 12-year-old boy named Caleb Morgan. He was a quiet soul, the kind who listened more than he spoke, and who carried a curiosity big enough to fill the whole valley. Caleb spent most of his afternoons exploring the old farmhouse his great-grandfather had built, a creaking, weather-stained place standing at the edge of a maple forest. The adults said it was too old, too drafty, too full of things that should have been thrown away. But to Caleb, it was a treasure chest. One cloudy afternoon, as rain tapped gently on the windows, Caleb climbed into the attic, a dusty world of forgotten trunks and stories nobody remembered anymore. He was searching for nothing in particular. Maybe a baseball glove, maybe an old coin jar, anything that whispered of the past. As he pushed aside a wooden chest, his foot caught on a loose floorboard. It shifted, revealing a small hollow space beneath. Caleb knelt down, heart quickening, and reached inside. His fingers touched something fragile, thin as dried leaves, soft as time itself. It was a letter, yellowed, cracking along the edges, stamped with a date from a century ago. Caleb sat cross-legged on the attic floor as the wind murmured through the roof beams. His hands trembled as he unfolded the paper, afraid it might crumble. The ink had faded, but the words still breathed with emotion. It was written by a young soldier named Thomas Green during the First World War, a man barely older than a boy. The letter was addressed to "My dearest Emma," and as Caleb read, the quiet attic seemed to warm around him. Thomas wrote about muddy fields and cold nights, about the sound of distant artillery and the fear that slept beside him. But above all, he wrote about Emma, how her smile had carried him through the darkest hours, how he longed to marry her when he returned home, how she was the only light he had left. But at the bottom of the letter, one line struck Caleb harder than all the rest. "If this letter reaches you, it means I might not." Caleb felt his eyes sting. He swallowed hard, imagining a young man his age, only braver, writing by candlelight with shaking hands, hoping someone he loved would know his final thoughts. He raced downstairs to show the letter to his grandmother, the family's quiet historian. When she read the name Thomas Green, her breath caught. "Caleb, Emma was your great-great-aunt," she whispered. "She never married. She kept waiting for a letter that never arrived." Caleb's throat tightened. This fragile piece of paper was the message Emma had waited a lifetime to receive. The family gathered in the living room as Caleb read the letter aloud. No one spoke. No one moved. It felt as though time had folded, letting everyone touch a love that had never had the chance to bloom. That night, Caleb placed the letter back in the attic, but not in the hidden floorboard. Instead, he framed it and set it atop a small wooden shelf beneath the window, where moonlight could touch it, where silence could honor it. And for the first time, the old attic didn't feel like a room full of forgotten things. It felt like a place where someone's heart had finally found its home. Caleb never forgot that day. And as he grew older, he often thought about Thomas and Emma, not as names in a dusty letter, but as two souls whose story had been waiting 100 years for someone to listen. He realized something then. Sometimes the past doesn't disappear. It simply waits for the right hands, the right eyes, and the right heart to bring it back to life.